Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? Today we are going to be comparing the Amazfit GTR 2 to the original Amazfit GTR. I have been using the GTR 2 for about nearly a month now actually. It's been quite a while. I haven't really got around to making any more videos, but now I'm here to do a comparison between the old version and the new version. So is it worth upgrading? What new features are there? Has the GPS improved? That was a big issue with the last watch. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty comprehensive comparison. Going to be looking at the design, the sensors, fitness tracking, GPS, pretty much everything you need to know. So if you're thinking about upgrading from your previous GTR, then watch all of this video. I'm going to give you everything you need to know. Let's go. So the original Amazfit GTR was released last year. I probably used it for about 4 or 5 months as my main watch, as my main smartwatch, and I liked it. I liked the design. It was only around about £150 or $175 roughly, so pretty good value. I think the design was great. It looked really good. It looked a lot more expensive than I think it is, and it had some decent tracking features. It had a heart rate monitor, internal GPS, accelerometer, so I was pretty impressed overall. The main issues with the watch is the fact that it didn't have many more smartwatch features. It didn't have a microphone, didn't have a speakers, you couldn't put your own music on it. The GPS, while it was internal, didn't work very well. That wasn't much of a problem for me because I don't do much outdoor exercise, which is the main reason to use GPS in a smartwatch, but people complained that it was really inaccurate. But now the GTR 2 is here, so let's see what has changed. Let's take a look at those hardware specs of both of the watches so we can just look at the direct comparison, see what has changed. The original Amazfit GTR featured a 1.4-inch AMOLED color display with a resolution of 454 by 454 pixels. The GTR 2 features the same size screen and the same screen resolution. The Amazfit GTR is covered by Gorilla Glass 3, whereas the GTR 2 is covered by Diamond Carbon surface, which offers improved scratch resistance. The original GTR features no internal memory, however the GTR 2 has 4 GB of internal memory. For sensors, the original GTR featured a BioTracker PPG bio tracking sensor, which is essentially a heart rate monitor, a 6-axis accelerometer, a 3-axis geomagnetic sensor, an ambient light sensor, and a barometric sensor. The GTR 2 has an upgraded heart rate sensor, the second generation of that BioTracker. It features the same 6-axis accelerometer, the geomagnetic sensor, as well as the same gyroscope and barometric sensor. The original GTR has no speaker and no microphone, however the GTR 2 does include a speaker and a microphone, so you are able to receive calls straight to your watch when connected to your phone via Bluetooth. Both watches are waterproof up to 50 meters. Both feature 12 built-in sports tracking modes. The battery life of the original GTR is 410 mAh, whereas the GTR 2 features a slightly upgraded battery, 471 mAh. However, the actual battery life is quite different. The original GTR has 24 days of normal use, whereas the GTR 2 only manages 14 days of normal use. So those are pretty much the hardware specs of both of those watches, and I think you can see some differences. It is not a complete upgrade. There are some similarities. The addition of the speaker and the microphone is essentially the main hardware upgrade, as well as a more accurate heart rate sensor. But let's take a closer look at the design of both of these smartwatches. What has changed? Is there an improvement? Because design was really the main thing I liked about the original GTR. It looked really good. It looked a lot more expensive than it was. And I think they have managed to keep that going with the GTR 2. There has been some changes in the design. The screen looks like it's a more edge-to-edge display, which I prefer. From a distance, you could be fooled to think it was not even a smartwatch. The uniform color of the GTR 2, I think, works in its favor as well. When it comes to comfort, they are both pretty comfortable. They are slightly on the thick side if you prefer thinner watches. The GTR 2 is 10.7 millimeters, whereas the original GTR almost the same, 10.5 millimeters. You won't really notice much of a difference there. I can wear this pretty much all day and not really notice it. I do have other smartwatches that are thinner and smaller and more comfortable to wear. Sometimes if I'm going to sleep, it can sometimes annoy me, or if you wear particularly tight jumper or something, then it's going to stick out a little bit. But as you can see here, they fit pretty well on my fairly thin wrists. What I will say is that I do prefer the strap of the original GTR. It comes with a leather strap, whereas the GTR 2 comes with a silicone strap, which I don't really like. You can change the straps on both watches really easily. There are plenty available to buy and they're all pretty cheap. So that for me is not really much of a deal breaker. Both of these watches are really good looking, and I still maintain they look better than the price tag. But for me, the GTR 2 is a slight improvement. I really like it, and I think it is pretty much its best feature is how it looks. The GTR 2 features the same connectivity options, Bluetooth, GPS and Wi-Fi, that there is a speaker and a microphone in the GTR 2, so you can use it as almost as an external phone. You can reply to messages and calls straight from the watch as long as it's connected to your phone. Also, that microphone is going to be used in a upgrade soon where the GTR 2 will have access to Amazon Alexa. That doesn't actually work right now. That is coming on a future software update. However, soon you'll be able to use the voice assistant Amazon Alexa on your GTR. There are also offline voice commands on the watch, so you can control the watch by using your voice. You can activate workout mode, you can look at the weather, there are a whole list of different commands that you can give to the watch, and it does work pretty well actually, almost straight away, as long as you activate that option in the settings. Now, let's talk about GPS, because that is something very important. Well, it's something that the original GTR really failed at. While it did have its internal GPS, it was pretty inaccurate. A lot of people complained about it. Let's take a look and see how it compares to the new GTR 2. I went out for a little walk around where I live, both watches on my wrists, both activating the GPS and in the workout mode for walking, so it tracks where the walk happened. And if we take a look here, neither of them are particularly excellent. The GTR 2 is better. It does provide a more accurate route, but it is only accurate to around about, I guess, 5 meters either way. You can see here it kind of goes into the road at some points. This is definitely not where I was walking, so it is not as accurate as many other smartwatches out there. However, it does improve upon the GTR, the original GTR, which pretty much failed to track even half of the route that I took. It really is not great for GPS, the original GTR. But yeah, the GTR 2 is definitely an improvement upon the original GTR. When it comes to fitness tracking and tracking your health, both watches are pretty well equipped. They both feature heart rate sensors, the accelerometer, and again, the GPS. So using all of those, it can track your fitness levels, your stress levels. There is something called PAI, which is a target, an activity level that you should reach to kind of maintain health. I will say that the GTR 2 features an upgraded heart rate sensor, so it is supposed to be reasonably more accurate than the previous generation. Mostly I found it to be pretty accurate. I do a lot of gym, a lot of running, cycling, and you can really see when that workout is happening. The GTR 2 also features an SpO2 tracker, so that's blood oxygen saturation level. Again, this is kind of becoming a common thing on newer smartwatches. The original GTR does not have that, so this is an extra thing you can track with the GTR 2. Pretty much all smartwatches with SpO2 trackers, there's some limitations, so take it with a pinch of salt, but it is something new in this watch that the previous version does not have. The vibration that alerts you to notifications is a lot stronger in the GTR 2. I remember using the original GTR and quite often missing stuff because the vibration was so weak. But the GTR 2, you definitely cannot miss it. It's a lot more aggressive, and you will definitely know when you are getting a call or a message. So it seems right now that the GTR 2 is a pretty significant upgrade on the original. However, there's one more thing to consider, which I've already mentioned before, and that is the battery life. And that is something very important for me because I hate watches that run out of battery very quickly. It's a bugbear for me and I really, really hate it. So I prefer the longest battery life possible. Now, the original GTR had a long battery life of like 20 to 24 days. That's really impressive for what the watch can do. They both have always on displays, so that would probably have to be turned off if you want to maximize the battery life. So the original GTR, really good battery life. Despite the GTR 2 having an actually larger battery, it doesn't match up in terms of battery life compared to the original. It only manages around 14 days of battery saving usage. So really for me, the average is around about 7 or 8 days. 7 days is still pretty good for the watch that you get. It is a large, bright, colorful display with a lot of features there. And it only takes about an hour and a half to charge and you're good to go. So it's not like you're going to be waiting around a long time. So I personally find that any watch that has 7 days or longer battery life I'm okay with. So I guess that's it, guys. That is my comparison between the original GTR and the new GTR 2. So is it worth upgrading? If you've had the original GTR for a year, then I do think it is. While the difference between these two watches isn't massive, I will admit it isn't a huge upgrade. The difference is big enough for me to justify it, I think. Definitely when it comes to design, the design is an improvement, as well as the sensors, the new heart rate sensor, the improved GPS, and the speakers and microphone, the voice commands, the Amazon Alexa. These are all things that make the GTR 2 much more of a real smartwatch experience, whereas the original GTR was kind of halfway there. So let me know what you think, guys. Would you upgrade from the original GTR 1 to the GTR 2? What do you think of the smartwatch? Is there any other alternatives? I'll be doing some more comparisons between this and some other watches that I have around. I have a new Apple Watch, so I'm going to be seeing how it compares to that. There's also a full review of this watch coming literally in the next few days, so stay tuned for that. If you want to know everything there is to know about this watch, I will let you know. Subscribe if you want to see more of this, and I will see you next time. Bye.